Okay, so it's just preparing and setting up our meeting. Okay, great. We are now live. Hello, everyone. This is Meryl with Akron Soul Train. I am here with resident artist Miriam Bennett to take you through her exhibit Akron and Wonderland Nocturnes, which is currently on view at the Akron Soul Train Gallery at the Burton D. Morgan Foundation exhibition space in downtown Akron. The gallery is open Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 4 p.m. Akron and Wonderland Nocturnes will run through May 29th. Akron Soul Train is an artist residency program connecting and empowering the community and artists by granting fellowships that provide resources for all creative disciplines to foster a more vibrant Akron. Before we get going, I'd like to thank Akron Soul Train sponsors for their continued support: the GAR Foundation, Akron Community Foundation, the Ohio Arts Council, the Leonard Family Foundation, the Brennan Family Foundation, the Knight Foundation, and the Char and Chuck Fowler Family Foundation. Okay, so for those of you tuning in, feel free to comment and ask any questions. We're going to get to that at the end because I will be walking around the gallery during. So if you feel the need to comment your question, go ahead and we'll get to it. Okay, Miriam, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and talk about some of the ideas behind the show, and I will see you all in the gallery.
Thank you, Meryl. Can you hear me good?
Yes, I can.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the live stream walkthrough of the show. And I am outside the gallery of Akron Soul Train at 191 South Main Street. And partly because I conceived of this exhibition as a kind of transition from the outside world into a sort of gallery world and into a more conceptual or almost like dream space world. So I just thought I would start by coming into the space and then show you some of the first things that you see, and then Meryl will take us through and I can answer questions. So when you first come into the gallery, I don't know if you've been here before, so I just want to give a shout out to Akron Soul Train. It's really a wonderful space, and you can see a lot of work from a lot of artists who've exhibited previously or are perhaps members of Akron Soul Train in terms of it being a collective of sorts. So really wonderful work here. And then my show kind of starts out here in the lobby area with these antique stereographic viewers. So Akron and Wonderland, I was really interested in exploring kind of the more in-between spaces that we sometimes don't think about when we're going through our daily life. And then COVID hit, which was interesting. And so instead of exploring through the city a lot, I decided to explore both the urban areas, but also the sort of outside natural areas, and ended up settling on this process of taking photographs on 120 film through a pinhole camera, which it happens to be a stereoscopic camera. So you can get a 3D view, which I can't show you on my phone, but if you come to the gallery, this is one of the first things you see. And then the next thing you see is a little station where you can sit and you can write me down whatever you like. But one of the things that prompted everything in this show is dreams, which have been submitted by viewers to the show into the stream mailbox in the front. And then there's another one in the back. So then you get to this curtain and you go into the show. So I will sit down and switch video cameras. And Meryl, are you in there?
Yes.
Okay.
I am joining you behind the first curtain.
Oh, I see you.
But real quick before we kind of
Okay, I'm good. I can take my mask off. Hi, everyone.
So we have these first two curtains, transition space before we get to the main part of the show. And that transition space is theme in your work in these kind of dreamscapes.
Hey, Meryl, I'm not sure if I can hear you through my headphone. Sorry, guys.
Oh, yep. I'm so sorry. I was muted. Okay.
That's okay.
Hi,
It Gave them
everyone.
time to contemplate the art and wonder
Yes,
about the
contemplating the
in-between
art.
spaces.
So yes, I am joining you after in between the first two curtains in this transition space. And this is a major part, like theme in your work, creating these little spaces, these dreamlike sequences, and kind of making it very surreal. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yes. So a lot of my work, you know, those of you who have maybe met me before, you might know me through like making music videos with me or films with me. But a lot of my work, I'm really interested in that kind of like dream space of cinema. And in my artwork, I'm interested in just exploring aspects of our shared reality that we don't usually like to dwell in or give ourselves a chance to dwell in, especially like areas like the subconscious. So that became a big prompt for the work I was commissioned to do as a fellow for Akron Soul Train. Akron Soul Train has you do a new body of work, something that you have never made before. It's not like you're showing work you already had on hand. You have to make it all during the residency. So I started out just making cyanotypes, which are a type of photographic process that uses sunlight to expose a light sensitive surface and kind of creates a negative impression of the object placed on top, kind of like man rays rayograms, or like if you've left a picture up on the wall too long and you take it down and you have that like impression behind it of what's left behind. Yeah. So this is then I ended up making a whole cyanotype dress. And what Meryl's showing you is what the dress looked like before it was turned into a cyanotype. And these became part of a film that was created in conjunction with the exhibition.
So these dresses kind of pop up in these little films. Let me get a really good view of this one. That are in these little framed boxes. And there's, I think, 5 throughout the exhibition.
Yeah, this one is, I'm gonna just stop this video for a sec. So that one that you're looking at is one of the dream boxes or dream rooms that I made with dancer Annie Morgan. And you can see she's wearing the cyanotype dress. The reason why we made the dress was because we had this idea for this film. And the reason why we made the film, or the idea prompt for the film, came from dreams that were submitted to us via Instagram when we asked out to the world, tell us your dreams, and we'll use that as inspiration to create some vignettes of film. I should say this is also a collaboration that Annie and I did through the Groundwork Dance Theater's Choreo Lab project. They were looking to collaborate with a filmmaker to create work since they weren't able to publicly present. So that was just a super wonderful, lucky confluence of things where I was working on an exhibition and they were looking for a filmmaker. And so we were able to start working in dance film.
Okay, so now we're going to get ready to go through the second curtain into the larger space in the gallery. We're just going to do maybe a little overview. So a lot of these little vignettes are inspired by specific dreams that you gathered, correct?
Yeah, there's objects and assemblages and things that I've collected, things that I've kind of created or put together based on the dreams. And also everything kind of started to layer itself, because once I started working with Annie, you know, we would share ideas together. And also the music that you kind of hear as you're walking through, that's a musical score that was written for the films by Theron Brown, who we also, I'm pretty sure I also shared the dreams with him, along with Mike Deiner, who I hope is tuning in. I can't see anyone on the chat, but Mike Deiner is another collaborator of ours on this show who did music as well as Crystal Panther did some voice recording for us as well. So yes, so everything in this space is prompted by a dream or by another theme that I had been thinking about a lot as I was kind of doing research around like night and in between spaces. And I realized that we give a lot of credit to certain night pollinate or to diurnal pollinating insects, but moths and insects in the night actually are responsible for a large amount of life on Earth via their pollination. So night pollinating insects also became a theme, which I think we found one now.
Yeah, and I found one.
You
They're
did.
kind of hidden throughout the show in different ways.
Yeah, I sometimes when I make a show, an art installation, I almost like embody a character, a protagonist for that show. I think of the whole show as kind of like a movie broken out into space, and everything in it is connected in some way as some sort of motif. And my protagonist in this show seems to get obsessed with moths and insects. And that one that we saw was a kind of moth that is actually endangered in Ohio. It has a wonderful name. It's called the unexpected cycnia moth. So my protagonist decided to not just maybe sketch it or draw it, but actually started embroidering it on a bunch of handkerchiefs. So, and here's another dream room.
We have these more, I love that you use the space of the room in kind of different ways in each film, but it's still recognizable as that room. It's really transformative.
I think that was also, we didn't intentionally try to make a piece of art during a pandemic or address that head on or anything, but you can kind of see it in the isolation in a lot of what we did. I mean, I was a crew of one for all the films. Annie was a cast of one for all the films. And we shot this in my studio and just kind of thought of the room as almost like a conceptual space that we could have articulate itself in various ways. So yeah, a lot of stuff in the film shadow boxes you'll also see in real life if you come to the show. So I hope you will.
Yeah, the films are really fun because you can kind of see these little props or the costumes are in the show in different ways, and it really connects everything together.
Yeah, for me, because I am on the other side of the screen, so to speak, as a filmmaker, film is a very kind of fluid thing. You know, it starts before you even make the movie by talking about it conceptually, and then the crew all comes together and you sort of form this family while you're making something, and then they all dissipate like out into the world before the editorial comes in and edits it. So for me, while I started working in film based on a love of watching films, now I guess I see it as a much more kind of layered experience. And so the artifacts and things that come from projects that you've made, they kind of remind you of that moment while you were in kind of the flow of production. And I wanted to kind of let other people experience that too, like walking into the backstage or something, or a gallery when all lights are turned off and you somehow kind of snuck in.
Yeah. One of the really cool things is how you kind of use the space of the gallery to transform it in the installation, but like this work would look completely different in other spaces. And right here, you kind of mentioned this kind of fork in the road that we come to when we approach this kind of back hallway, and then also this room.
Yeah, so that it makes a lovely diptych too on the Zoom screen. Yeah, so that was kind of, I mentioned that a little bit in my introduction. You know, I wanted to go from outside in the street to a kind of familiar space of a gallery, shop, and then progress towards something that really doesn't look like you're in an art gallery anymore. So yeah, you go through the sort of darkened gallery, but then you come to either a corridor or the parlor room, and it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You can kind of pick where you would like to go next, Meryl.
Yeah. I think we're going to go through the corridor first. I'm going to make a quick pit stop. All throughout the gallery, it's like a little treasure hunt to try to find all of these little objects and the meaning, how they all come together or not. And
they do all come together.
Yeah.
In my crazy
they do.
No, but or not. Right. Some of them
Yeah.
are things there's a bird's nest in there that I found, and I just wanted it in there. But then you think about what the bird is doing, it's weaving all of these things together. And
Yeah, there's all these connections that can be made. So, okay, we're going to go down this corridor because it's just beckoning me.
okay.
Yeah.
So
We have the
this was also
projections.
something that was sort of prompted by discussions between Annie Morgan and myself, mixed with things I'd always wanted to do. She was interested in choreography for the camera with hands. And we were both started to become very interested in choreography and film for spatial experience rather than a single channel. And I always loved that Jean Cocteau Beauty and the Beast film where they're walking through the corridor and there's like a normal person hand holding a torch. So it's a little bit inspired by that just kind of fun spookiness of like that old Beauty and the Beast film, but also like Scooby-Dooby-Doo, and also like your own dreams, like when stuff happens and it's kind of disconnected and you're not sure why.
Yeah.
That's mosquito netting that they're on too. So
yeah,
anyway.
it's really ethereal, and as you're walking through it, it really does feel like this transition into this deeper space by the time we've reached this kind of bedroom work area. It's a completely different mindset almost that you enter into.
Yeah, so this part of the installation was kind of the living space of the absent protagonist. So in my mind, this is where they're kind of collecting these messages, collecting these dreams in these cyanotype envelopes, or being sent them and not sure who they were being sent from. They're also just kind of creating work or doing research. So although we don't see the person who's doing it, we see sort of evidence of their activities. And this is their this is their work area, I guess, which you're invited into. And their sleep
almost like
area.
their innermost that
layer.
Yeah, that innermost layer. Another hanging dress, and then their work desk.
Yeah, so you can see it, and this was again prompted by the Akron Soul Train mandate to create a new body of work. So I had never done cyanotypes before. I kind of was interested in that process, and I think like many of you guys may have made them as a kid or something, but I started to really work with them as a investigative process, as using photography as like a sort of scientific investigation, as many early cyanotype artists and photographers did use them. It's the same process that's used for making blueprints for buildings was used. We found a little thing. There's another unexpected signia.
It's so fun to find all of the little hidden traces. I think also the cyanotypes kind of work because it is a trace of that object, and a lot of the installation is traces of this protagonist that you talk about.
Yeah. And there's another mailbox back there as well, and another chair. So if you come to the gallery and you feel at this point
kind of dark,
you remember a dream, you get a chance, you can sit down and write it down and drop it in the mailbox for me. And maybe you'll see that manifest itself somehow through the run of the show. Because I come in and I mess with things and add things.
Yeah. It's like this ever evolving thing, because, you know, our dreams, there's just an abundance of things that can be done.
Yeah, there's so many like sort of strange images and juxtapositions that we encounter every single night, whether it's in our conscious mind or our subconscious mind. And I like to just peek into that a little bit, not interpret it, just sort of inhabit it a little bit. And now we're in the parlor room.
Now the parlor room, which is really inviting. I really like the fact that it is kind of warm in here. It feels lived in as well. It's a really interesting space. Now everything's very interactive in this room, especially.
Yeah, I really like to encourage people to feel comfortable inside of my installations and feel like staying. Oh, there's another, oh gosh, I can't remember what that one's called. That's called a webworm. That's a webworm moth. The moths are all rendered, they're drawn, or if they're in embroidery or whatever, they're all to scale. I was also using drawing as a tool for scientific, so, I'm not a scientist, but I really am, I have a great admiration for scientists and for that process of just like very careful, repetitive work that they do, and also the observations that they take and how they make those observations. Yeah. And then I like to layer them over just the distractions of our subconscious mind. So
yeah. And we come across another video.
yeah. So when
This
Annie and I were
one's-
working, we felt, even though everything we were doing was about kind of what happens at night and what happens when you're asleep, we wanted to bring in brightness and day as well, and interpret that in dance as well as in film. So, and humor. And she's just such an incredible dancer, such an incredible collaborator to work with. So that's when the theme of the oranges came in, was with this. I felt like we needed like something that had a promise of brightness. And also they're all in the gallery, and I replace them regularly because I want people to be able to take them with them, or not. You can't eat them in the gallery, I don't think right now. Sorry, but maybe one day you'll be allowed.
And we have kind of more treasures to find. Every time I come in here, I find different things, and it's so fun to just keep looking. I know it's a little dark on my camera.
I mean, I know what I'm looking at, so I can kind of see.
Yeah, oh, there's my shadow.
But and there, I can also, I'll post some images on my Instagram too for you guys. And today there's a big article in the Akron Beacon Journal about the show, so you can read that too. That's a silk moth, a giant silk moth. Again, drawn to scale. And all of these moths and insects are local. What I did was I started to try to find out, how does one find out about night pollinating moths and insects and other things. Like that was an animal skull that I found the other day when I was walking through a local natural region. So I haven't really identified it yet as to what the animal it was that it came from.
And I found a couple more.
Yep. There's
Moths.
a Luna moth and another unexpected cycnia. Is that the one that the handkerchief itself has cicadas on the corner, or is that a different one?
Let me see.
Yes, it is. I was just embroidering on handkerchiefs that I got at like Goodwill or the American Cancer Society Discovery Shop that had been previously owned by other people, and sometimes they'll often have embroidery on them, or like lace work that was done by somebody before me, and that one has cicadas on the corners of it. It's quite lovely. There's a hummingbird clearwing moth. Its wings are actually translucent, and people often think they're hummingbirds, but they're not.
Ooh. Yep. Throughout the gallery, you have lots of kind of different seating areas, and you talk a little bit about wanting people to sit and be and like really take in the space. Well,
the whole thing was also prompted by my memory of reading Through the Looking Glass and what Alice found there. And I don't know if you've read that book or seen some of the film incarnations, but in Through the Looking Glass, she looks at the mirror over the mantle, and then she just imagines, what if it just could dissolve like gauze and I could just go through into the looking glass house? And that's a lot. That's something I really love to think about. So in homage to Through the Looking Glass and what Alice found there is a chessboard in there with a game that's going on right now, played by whoever has come into the gallery and made a move. And I think, it looks like it's
white.
How many
Smooth?
It's because because white goes first. So it's white's move.
Yeah, and I
So
know
when
it's a
you-
little dark on my Zoom, but out there, that's a little bit of a better view.
So when
So
you
if
come
anyone knows how to
in,
play chess.
yeah, or even if you don't, you can come in and make a move. But it's kind of fun to play chess, I think, in that way when you don't know who you're playing with. But also if you come in with someone, you could sit down and do a whole game.
Ooh.
And there's books, I
Okay.
should say this is a reading room as well. That round table is actually a rotating bookcase, that one underneath the
Yep.
chessboard. And so I often am sort of inspired by various things that I read in fiction or poetry or what have you. And then I kind of carry these books with me. And so I put in several books that were important to me from a kind of connecting standpoint of previous work I've done, work maybe that I want to do later, and this show in particular.
Yes, there's books in kind of all these little nooks and crannies, and it's really fun to try to find. Okay, so as the audience can see, this show is incredibly experiential. So I am doing my best and giving you guys really like great views, but please, if you can, come experience it yourself, because it's completely different in the space. So I'm going to kind of make my way back
Okay.
towards my
And while
computer.
should I tell them about the giveaway?
I think you can tell them about the giveaway. I'm going to make my way
Okay.
back towards my computer so I can kind of start to take some comments and questions from everyone.
Oh, okay. So,
And I'm just
so
going to
we'll
do it nice and slow.
And I'm going to put my mask on since you're coming back out here. But after the question and answer part of this, we're going to do a live giveaway for anybody who's on the live chat. And so if you want to be in the giveaway, I'll tell you what the items are. That it's all stuff in the show. I'll let you choose, but it'll be either a cyanotype, a antique stereoscopic viewer with a stereo card handmade by me, or an animal skull collected by me for one of the cabinets of curiosities. So if you want to be in that and you're able to access the chat, just type, I do or me in the chat, and Meryl will do a drawing at the end. So.
Okay, so you can see it's a huge transition coming back out of that space. So let me get set up on my computer, and then we can take some comments or questions for Miriam while she's here. Okay, I'm going to.
Okay. Can you hear me, Miriam?
I can hear you, yeah.
Perfect.
I was going to tell him too, while you're looking through the questions, if you are tuning in from afar and you're not able to come to the gallery but still want to send me your dream, I actually have a voicemail box set up that you can call, and that number is 234-738-4504. There it is. So you can call that number anytime, like when you wake up from a dream, and just leave me a voicemail description and participate that way.
Okay. So everyone should be able to read that. Hoping. If you have any questions, please write them down in the comments. I should be able to see them. One thing that I wanted to ask is maybe from like a technical aspect, how you did the projections and made it be in like a certain way.
Well, I can tell you about the process for that. And in fact, so I've done some, space projections in spaces before, and it's really like making anything else. You have to kind of play. And in this case, I wanted to play with designing for space. So it starts when you're filming, you know, making sure that what you're filming can kind of be, in this case, some of them, you know, against all black, so that you can knock that black out and really just have an object that doesn't seem like it's a square, you know, or is limited by the size of the frame. And so we filmed all of those things in my studio, which you actually saw. I mean, it's basically an old, it's a house, it's a 100-year-old house. But then the material of the screens is made out of insect netting, mosquito netting, which I thought, which was important to me because that connects it also conceptually to the rest of the objects in the show. And then that's mostly the technical aspect of it. It's really a matter of filming for the idea of projection, thinking about scale will shift the further away or closer the light emitting projector is from the surface that's being projected on. And then what if that surface is translucent or moves or all those things.
Okay, so I did figure out how to get to the comments. It took me a second. Things have kind of changed on the Zoom Live. Okay. Ooh, I really like this one comment. It's not quite a question, but Sulene said watching the live stream video walkthrough rather than being there is actually kind of like another level of dream. That's a really interesting take.
That was Suling.
Yes.
Hi, Suling. I think she's in California. And she's a wonderful artist herself, if this is the same Suling that I know. Thank you for that comment. Yeah, you know, Meryl and I actually talking about technology. We talked about how can we do a live stream that sort of tries to give not the same experience. It's an iteration of the experience of coming in. But everything in life is quite, you know, temporal, right? And is constantly shifting. So, and now we're in this landscape where even our closest friends and neighbors we're communicating to via screens half the time now. So we're all in this state of flux, but I'm glad it was like sort of interesting.
Sulene is also asking where all the beautiful furniture and other items came from.
So my house, previous film sets that I've styled and worked on, you know, over the years, I just have a lot of objects that have been used in other artworks or in other, in fact, the bed in the back was, well, my own bed for many, many years, me and John's bed, my husband, but back before we were married. But then later it was in a music video that was shot here in Akron shortly after I started making music videos here in Akron. And that music video is called Everything Went Down. And it's by the artist Kate Tucker. And so if you watch the music video, Everything Went Down, if you Google it, Everything Went Down, Kate Tucker, you'll see that bed in a music video. And I think it's actually even the same sheets. And you know, and if you watch that video, you'll see threads that connect through, you know, working with other artists in a collaboration. Obviously a music video, you're doing it to promote the song of the artist. But at the same time, if you have an artist who's kind of really open to you bringing in your own ideas as a director, then some of your own sensibilities kind of infiltrate that. And music, the pairing of music and visual is something that I hope I will be able to work with the rest of my life. It's one of my it's a great joy of life for me, working with composers or working with musicians.
Yeah, and a couple comments mentioned the shadows cast on the walls and how, like, they really add to that immersion and that sense of light and that direction.
Yeah, that was a discovery I made when I started putting the Parlor Room together. I had initially intended to make it almost like one of those galleries, like when you go into a museum or, you know, they would have all the paintings way up to the tippy top of the wall and you can't even like see them, but it's just this wall of images. And my first idea was to do that with the Moth drawings. But then when I came in the space, I started setting things up. And I like to put lights in unexpected places, like the unexpected signia. I like to have the lamp on the floor instead of on the wall or upside down or something, or have the record player plugged into the ceiling. So when I set the light on the ground and I saw the light, the sort of expressionist shadows that were being cast, I realized I wanted to keep all the artwork off the wall and instead allow you to investigate it in unexpected places and keep those shadows in place. Again, like drawing through the absence of the object.
Okay, and then we have a couple of requests for the phone number again.
Yes, that number again is, I can't add it to the screen, but I can hold it up. Is it looking like reversed to you, or can you see it normal? Well, it's the looking glass. You have to get a looking glass, hold it up to the.
I think it should come across normal
for you guys. So that number is 234-738-4504. So it's 234-738-4504. And you will hear like a Google voice box greeting, but then you'll hear my voice asking you to leave your dream. And not only am I coming in and sort of manipulating the objects throughout the run of the show, which goes until May 29th, but I'm also kind of working with my musicians and voice actors, including Crystal Panther, to create, and Georgiana Lascu, I think I'm going to loop her in as well to this project, and others, to read out the dreams, even if it isn't their dream, and create a kind of sonic component that isn't in there yet, but will kind of be layered in. So if you leave your voicemail, that will be another sonic layer for me to play with. And to that same sort of thread, I would like to make a playlist. So if you are a musician and you make music that sounds like night, and you wouldn't mind sharing some with me, I'd like to make a Nocturnes playlist. There's a wonderful musician named Joe Zitt, who is in Israel. I don't know if he's able to join us now, but he saw one of my earlier calls for music and sent me some incredible tracks that he had recorded and not released. So I'm excited about this phase, even if it extends past the Akron Soul Train show.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Christine, for writing the number in the comment section. So if you didn't get that, it is in the comments.
Awesome. And it's on my Instagram too, in some posts. If you go to @moving_studio, I have the number posted, in some, you might have to dig through pictures. But.
Okay. And I think there was just one more question that I didn't see, and we kind of talked about the other requirements for installation. But anything else that you can think of, like the curtains or painting, making the floor in the parlor room?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I like to do is either site-specific installation when you respond to a space, which we did talk about, the idea of the gallery itself as a space, as a transitional space or a threshold space. But then sometimes you need to go in there and really transform this space. So when I wanted to include the parlor room, I had to actually redo the ceiling and the floor in a temporary manner, just enough to create that suspension of disbelief. And if you've ever worked on a play or a movie, you only have to really worry about what the camera sees or what is the proscenium stage sees. And everything outside of that is it's always super fun, right? To be like backstage and you can kind of see where that line is that the magic starts to happen. In installation art, it really has to work like 360 degrees. And it's probably, I've never made a haunted house, but I think it's probably like haunted house walkthroughs are really big here in Ohio. Like everybody like super duper loves them. And it's probably similar to making one of those. You have to get it right enough that the person can really start to engage in the idea of that space not being the space that they conceptually know that they're in.
Okay, and then we just have one last question that I can kind of answer. There technically was not an opening for this show. It opened on May
April.
On April 14th. And it's going to be up until May 29th. We are hoping to maybe do some extended hours as kind of a closing, but everything's kind of up in the air when it comes to that. So please, please, please check Facebook and Instagram for updates on that. Okay.
I think we're looking at May 20th for the, are we looking at?
For a third Thursday, that might be a thing as well.
That might be one. So if
Yes.
you kind of keep May 20th in your mind, they still have to decide if that's going to make sense from a gallery perspective, but there will be other things happening around this area that a little bit later in the evening. So maybe you come during the day and see the show and then go visit, other things going on in downtown Akron.
Okay. So should we do the
I'm so excited, you guys. I've never done a giveaway. Well, I've never done a live stream artist talk either. So I thought I'd combine the two. So does anybody want to be in the giveaway?
Yeah, we've had lots of comments, and I think we can pick one.
Okay.
There's a lot.
Oh, good. I can't see them. This is a big surprise for me.
I am in control.
Thank God.
Let's see. I'm gonna go. Lisa Wiley said I'm in.
Oh, okay.
So if you are still watching, Lisa, please comment below again, and we can send you a message to try to get in contact with you to win your prize, your giveaway prize.
Yeah. And you can let me know, Lisa, which of the three choices you would prefer. I'll add a fourth. So you can choose, you can have an unexpected signia embroidery, or you can have the stereoscopic antique viewer with a stereo card handmade by me, or the animal skull, or what was the other one I had said? I added a fourth and it got myself confused. Oh, a cyanotype.
Yes.
So you can either comment which one you want, or they'll reach out to you and they'll arrange for everything. They're very good at that. They're art gallery.
Yep, she's here. She just commented. Thank you, Lisa, for joining in. Once again, it was the stereoscope.
It was the stereoscope, the skull, the animal skull, the
cyanotype.
A cyanotype, and then I added the unexpected signia embroidery, which is hand embroidered in silver embroidery thread on an antique sheer handkerchief. All the handkerchiefs are sheer.
Okay, so I think we can kind of start to conclude. There's so many things to talk about, so please, 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 if you can make it, come in. This live stream will be posted on Facebook right after, so you can rewatch, or if someone didn't get a chance to watch live, it will be up there. Okay, I would like to thank Miriam Bennett for guiding us through her exhibit, Akron and Wonderland Nocturnes. Once again, the show will be on view until May 29th, and the gallery hours are Wednesday through Saturday from 11 to 4 p.m. Okay, and then one more thing. If you join us again on Wednesday, May 19th at 7 p.m., also on Facebook Live, Miriam will be having a discussion with Chris Klein of the Butterfly Ridge Butterfly Conservation Center about some of the nocturnal pollinating insects that inspired Akron and Wonderland Nocturnes. So that should be a really amazing discussion and kind of learning some really fun things with it. Okay. Oh, so many comments. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to sign off. Bye.